Welcome back to the Full Force Fathers podcast. Dave, it is episode number 85. We are closing in on that century mark. It's a great number. I don't know why. Lots of good numbers today in our numbers category. How are you doing today? Happy Halloween to all those that are listening. I hope you guys are all going to have a great trick-or-treating tonight. You're taking your kids out and you get all sorts of candy. Let them eat a few pieces, throw the rest in the trash. You know, all the things that go with Halloween. I hope you're dressing up. I hope you have a great Halloween this year. What's going on, Dave?
Yeah, same, man. I'm super excited to get out and trick or treat with the kids tonight. It's going to be fantastic. It always is. It's our first time doing it here in Tennessee, so interested to see how that goes. Trick or treating in Connecticut was really never that great because they didn't have like neighborhoods where you just go house to house to house. Arizona was phenomenal. The weather was great. It was great. It's really cold here today, so I'm not looking forward to that. But I got myself a warm costume, so I'm okay with that.
Let's just jump right into costumes because it's Halloween, and you are the costume connoisseur. You are the more pro Halloween of the two of us. What are you dressing up?
I love this holiday.
What are you dressing up as? What are the kids dressing up as? What are your plans? Are you partying? Are you trick or treating? What's going on? What's your Halloween plans?
Trick or treating. Casey picked our costume this year. Normally, I will do something with one of the kids. So a couple years ago, I was the Joker with Bryce. He was Batman. Last year, I was Bella Caroli. Kendall was gymnast. This year, Casey picked costumes for her, and I am going as Oscar the Grouch, which, I mean, fits me so well. I'm going as Oscar the Grouch. She's going as the Cookie Monster. And the kids, Bryce going as a football player, Kendall is going as a basketball player. So that's what we got. That's what we got going.
Oscar the Grouch. Casey, kudos to you. This may be the greatest single selection. Actually, it's not that it's great. It just fits you because it's who you are. You are Scrooge at Christmas time. You are Oscar the Grouch 99.9% of the time. You are miserable. So it's perfect for you that you are Oscar the Grouch.
Not 99.9% of the time, but it's up there. I definitely feel like Oscar the Grouch might be my... I can channel my inner Oscar the Grouch and really perform well on Halloween.
You know what's great about this Halloween is being back in Arizona. It's just perfect out. This has been the most perfect week of weather. It started last week with some rain. We had a random, 90 minutes of rain from some sort of system that came up from Mexico. I am no meteorologist, but all I know is since then it hasn't broke 85 degrees during the day, and it's been in the 50s at night. So I am super, super excited. As you know, you've touched on it. Arizona is the best place to trick or treat because everybody decorates. The weather's perfect. You can wear any kind of costume you want. You can wear a cold weather costume, a hot weather costume. It doesn't matter. We both grew up in the northwest corner of Connecticut where we've had Halloweens get canceled due to snowstorms. So yes, we are glad.
Yeah.
Last year in Virginia, it rained on Halloween. So when we were trick or treating, we did find a nice neighborhood with some friends of ours out there to trick or treating, which the kids made a killing on candy and all that stuff. But we delayed our trick-or-treating by like 40 minutes because it was raining. No surprise there. It's the East Coast and it was raining. But the girls this past weekend, we did the trunk or treat at church and we did all of us dressed up. Not me, but everyone else dressed up. They did the trunk as Hocus Pocus. So all the girls were the Sanderson sisters, which was their Halloween costume last year. They were the Sanderson sisters. So they did that for the trunk or treat. Tonight, Madison and Caroline will be cowgirls. Madison, she's getting that weird age. She's 13 now. So like, is it trick or treating? Is it not trick or treating? I think you should always dress up.
Absolutely.
And then Finley has just been, and she wore it to school this morning. She's a cheerleader this year. So she's been dying to just rock that cheerleading outfit out everywhere she goes. So she is super pumped to be a trick or treating cheerleader tonight. So we got Halloween out of the way. So nothing good. As you know, we're going to go through your old neighborhood and trick or treat. That's where everybody goes because everybody gives out candy. So, but happy Halloween, everybody. We hope you have a great, like I said, a great time trick or treating with your friends. But we're going to jump into episode 85. I'm all sorts of fired up / angry / whatever you want to talk about for episode 85. But as usual, we are starting with numbers. And 85 was a good list. I put this list together and I was not surprised because 85 is a big number in the NFL, especially wide receivers, tight ends and stuff. But when I was putting this list together, I just couldn't, it's funny when we do these lists, it brings you back and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. But 85 has a strong football case. And it starts right off at the top with Jack Youngblood. He was He's the greatest number 85, you can argue, all time. I personally think maybe it's Antonio Gates at the end, but the difference here is Jack Youngblood has the rings. 7 straight Pro Bowls, 5-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time second-team All-Pro. He was the NFL sack leader twice, which is weird because 85 is an offensive number now, but back then, a lot of defenders wore 85. He was an All-American at Florida, in the Swamp. First-team All-SEC. And, we always find random statistics and little tidbits about these guys. How about this? He played the entire 1979 playoffs with a broken leg.
That's ridiculous. I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. Played with a broken leg. Man, I miss when football players were that tough. Now they sit out for everything. Yeah, they got to sit out for everything. They got a bum hand, they got a hangnail, they got to sit out, and they're throwing hand. Like, it's just ridiculous. Kudos to Jack, and what a name, Jack Youngblood. Yeah, I mean, what a baller name that is.
Fitting on Halloween to have the last name of Youngblood.
Yeah, for sure. Love it.
But continuing on the list, Nick, I'm going to butcher this name. Buonaconti, maybe. Obviously, it's an Italian name. Linebacker, 2-time Super Bowl champ with the Dolphins. We got Art Monk, wide receiver, 3-time Super Bowl champ, first-team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowl, and was a first-team All-American at Syracuse. And then Rayfield, this one's for you, Cowboy fan. Rayfield, the Big Cat Wright, offensive tackle. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champ with the Cowboys. He played in 5 Super Bowls with the Cowboys. 3-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time second-team All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowl. But what a nickname, the Big Cat. Are you kidding me?
The Big Cat. Yeah, no, that's a fantastic nickname. I heard his name before, but it was before our time watching. So too bad. Sounds like he was a hell of a player to watch.
These guys were Hall of Famers. That's why I put them at the top of the list. This one, next guy, who I think is the greatest number 85, especially in our generation, he will be a Hall of Famer the second he's eligible, and that's Antonio Gates.
Yeah.
All those great years that he played in San Diego with Phillip Rivers and LaDainian Tomlinson, 8-time Pro Bowl, 8-time All-Pro, 955 career catches, 11,841 yards, and 116 touchdowns. He was a machine.
Yeah, those are some staggering statistics. And that offense was really good. I don't think Phillip Rivers gets the credit that he deserves for that team and what he was as a quarterback. But, man, he did have some playmakers, and Antonio Gates was just phenomenal to watch. Just big and strong and could get it done.
You could argue that those Chargers teams, if you take, obviously Tom Brady's the greatest, the Patriots. Take away Brady and Manning, and Phillip Rivers would have played in some Super Bowls. No doubt about it. Yeah. Because that was always his hump. His hump was always the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. He could not get over that hump. But he, always was in the playoffs, always making deep runs in the playoffs, never always flew under the radar. But the thing about Antonio Gates, I'm going to jump the list down. And the reason why I think Antonio Gates, everyone forgets that he's a tight end. Those are gaudy numbers for a wide receiver. Those are Hall of Fame numbers for a wide receiver. And just to put it into context, this is just to put it into context, okay? 8-time Pro Bowl, 8-time All-Pro, first and second team. The next guy, Chad Ochocinco Johnson, who everyone says should be a Hall of Famer when he right. His numbers put him in the Hall of Fame. His numbers put him in 16th all-timers, 15th all-time receiving yards. Ochocinco had 766 catches for 11,059 yards and 67 touchdowns. So Antonio Gates had nearly 200 more catches, 800 more yards, and 50 more touchdowns.
Wow.
That just tells you.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
How good Antonio Gates' numbers really were. You got a couple of great 49ers on here. Don't think either one of them will be Hall of Famers, but you never know depending on how Kittle's career ends. George Kittle, obviously currently the tight end for the 49ers. He took over for Vernon Davis, who soft spot in my heart for Vernon Davis because I loved Vernon Davis as a tight end. And he finally went and got that ring when he left San Francisco. He got that ring playing with Peyton Manning in Denver that one year. Greg Jennings, another good receiver, got his one and only ring with Aaron Rodgers when that team played in the Super Bowl, they beat the Steelers. It was Rodgers, Jennings,
Mhm.
Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb. That was a good team. That was a good football team that year.
Yep. Mhm.
But that's your football numbers. Like I said, a lot of receivers, a lot of good numbers. We got to throw a racing tidbit in here just for you, Dave. Emmanuel Zervakis started 52 times in the 85 car. That's all I got for you.
Well, I did a little digging on Zervakis because that's what I do. I'm a NASCAR historian, as some might think. No,
Yes,
no,
you are.
I'm just kidding. But I did do some research on Zervakis. And up until 2022, he was the last racer to ever be disqualified from a race. Do you know why he was disqualified? If you had
I
to
do not
guess.
know. He punched
So
somebody.
he took the pole. He won from the pole. He took the checker flag with the 85 car, but he had an oversized fuel tank upon inspection and got busted. So he lost. And I think that was the end of his career.
An oversized fuel
I mean,
tank.
What? Well, think about it. You can go further on a tank of fuel, which is going to give you a huge advantage in NASCAR. If you can get a couple, a few more laps out of every fuel tank, I mean, that's like a guaranteed victory, I would think. So I guess you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But
That's crazy to
Emmanuel
me.
Zervakis. I mean, Zervakis. What nationality is Zervakis? Got to be like.
It's got to be something European, Eastern European or something.
Right.
Greek?
Yeah.
Is it Greek? Is it Greece?
Yeah, maybe. But like, you wouldn't expect to see that name on a NASCAR list. I was expecting to see that in like a hockey list. Speaking of hockey, what you got for me? Because I know you're a resident hockey expert.
Oh my God, there's nothing better than I love than coming up with hockey. But I'm going to tell you about the guy named Peter Kilma. Okay, Peter Kilma.
Okay.
Peter Kilma.
Peter without
famously. Yeah, Peter with. So Peter Kilma famously scored the Game 1 triple overtime winner for the Oilers in the 89-90 season. Okay, it is the year they won the Stanley Cup. He scored 313 career goals in 786 career games, all by wearing the 85 sweater. But this is where it gets great, because you're never going to get a hockey statistic without the name of the great one. So that year, 89-90, the Oilers won their fifth. I didn't even know they've won this many Stanley Cups. They won their fifth Stanley Cup in a 7-year span. Okay?
Wow.
But that year that they won the Cup is the first year after they traded Wayne Gretzky away in 88. So they traded away the great one and then won the Stanley Cup the next year. You didn't know that?
I didn't realize he was traded. No, I didn't know that. I'm not as into hockey as you are. So stands to reason that I might not know that. But wow. So what's worse? Okay, I'm gonna pose a question here. What's worse? You trade away the future greatest maybe the greatest athlete of all time in a sport, in a singular sport, most dominating person in their sport. Or you don't draft Michael Jordan and you draft, I forget what his name was off the top of my head right here, Sam Bowie. You draft Sam Bowie over Michael Jordan. What's the bigger miss there?
It's Michael Jordan, no doubt, because you still won 4 Stanley Cups with Gretzky, and then you traded him away. So it's not that big a deal. Yeah, it would have been nice if he stayed an Oiler forever and he had won another 5. But you still had the glory of 4 Stanley Cups with him, right?
Yeah, sure.
You literally never got a taste of the glory at all with Sam Bowie. You never got any of that because you never drafted Jordan, so you never had any of it.
The glory of Sam Bowie.
But at least you did win with Gretzky. And the other side note on that on the Gretzky thing is, this was news to me, because when everybody thinks of the great Mark Messier, they think him holding the Stanley Cup trophy up with the New York Rangers. I had absolutely no idea that Gretzky and Messier played together. And when Gretzky left, Messier became, they wear the C on the jersey for the in hockey, the best player. I think it's the best player, the captain, or whatever the case may be. Messier took over that role. So you literally went from Gretzky to another, probably arguably top 20 for sure, maybe top 15 hockey player of all time, Messier, for your leadership role. But it was like they played on the same team. And listen, 5 Stanley Cups in 7 years is a big deal.
Yeah, it is. That's a big deal for any professional sport. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So there's your 85. Moving on to the Bible verse today. And it comes from 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 11. Short and simple today. 1 Thessalonians 5:11. Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. We are Full Force Fathers. We are here for each other. Period. End of story. We are here to build each other up. Excuse me. Build each other up, make each other better. And that's what we're doing. So I couldn't think of a more fitting Bible verse than 1 Thessalonians saying, therefore encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's perfect for today. That's what we do. We build each other up. And we got a great episode today to help build you up.
Yeah. And we're going to start today's episode off right away. I'm going to pose a question to you. And then we're going to, this is going to be like this is going to grow legs and go in a bunch of different directions. But I just want to, this all stemmed from a Fox News article that Dave sent me a couple of weeks back. And we've been meaning to put it into the show and talk about it and go with it. So what are you eating? Or should I make it a bold statement? You need to watch what you are eating. Between the Fox News article that Dave's going to touch on right now, I read another article about chicken. Sickness is on the rise. We both recently have had coworkers close to us get very, very sick. In bed, can't move 3-4 days in a row type of sick. So I posed that statement to you that you really, truly need to watch what you're eating. And Dave, if you want to touch base on that article that you sent me real quick, and then we can kind of go with it.
Yeah, I think what you just said there was interesting. You said your first question was, what are you eating? Then you said maybe it should be watch what you're eating. I think it needs to be watch what you're eating. I think that's the most important thing, because there's been a lot of stuff that I've seen recently that has really opened my eyes to what's going on. And the article that I sent you on Fox News, it was basically talking about how the heavily processed foods that we consume have so many additives in them and so many addictive properties that it actually makes them more addictive than drugs, heroin, cocaine. And that is staggering to me. But I completely get it and I understand it, because as someone who has struggled with food throughout their life, just liking junk food and eating too much of it, like I almost feel at times like I'm addicted to those things. And I always kind of thought I was in my head, and I'm just like, no, you're just, you just feel like doing that, so you're doing that. But now there's some science that backs it, that says, no, there's actually addictive properties that are in these things that are more addictive than some of the strongest drugs that are out there. And to me, that was eye-popping and really made me think about, what am I consuming on a daily basis, and starting to look at labels more, starting to understand those things a little bit better. And there was also a documentary I told you about not too long ago. I think it's called Poisoned on Netflix, The Truth About the Food You're Eating. That started off back in I think it was the 90s, with hamburger that had salmonella. And it caused this massive outbreak, and some kids died. And they really got the meat industry, the ground beef industry, under control. But everything else outside of that isn't regulated the same at all. Like the FDA has strong regulations on ground beef because of that. But on other stuff, the lettuce that you're consuming, that you just pick up at the grocery store, could have salmonella on it. The chicken, the study that they did on chicken there was, they went in and tested Purdue, and the amount of traces of salmonella were staggering on the chicken that just comes off the line and goes to the grocery store. So if you're not cooking this stuff 100% to like the correct temperature, and even if you are, you're still running the risk of getting sick. But it was most staggering to me thinking about the vegetables that we eat. They were talking about how these lettuce, and there's a big one out in Arizona, out in Yuma. That's where one of the biggest lettuce manufacturing places are in the world, the biggest grower. But they were saying that they have the cattle They have the cattle feeds and the cattle areas right on the other side of the river from where they grow the lettuce and where they grow vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
And the cows will shit into the dirt. It'll rain, and the water will push the feces down into the river, the same river that then feeds the irrigation for all of the lettuce. And
Mm-hmm.
unlike chicken, unlike ground beef, you can't cook the poison out of it.
Yeah.
So you're washing it, you're rinsing it, but it's still there, and then you put it on your salad, and you could easily get sick. So, there's been a lot of stuff I've seen lately that I've said to you, and I'm glad we're talking about it because it's really important.
Yeah, no, you definitely really, really need to start paying attention. And that's why if there's anything I miss the most about Virginia, it is the fact that we had, in Virginia, we had a garden, like a nice growing season. And I knew where all our fruits and vegetables and stuff were coming from. Where out in Arizona, it's really tough. Now, it's not an excuse. You still can buy some pots and stuff and do some tomatoes and things like that and do some raised beds. But yeah, man, it's scary out there. The one about chicken that I was telling you about that someone sent to me was like, you told me about the chicken, you told me about the documentary, and then someone else sent me a chicken article, and it was like, and I love chickens. We have chickens and we do eggs, and next year we're actually thinking about doing some meat birds, so I know where the meat's coming from because it's getting to the point now, like, dude, big pharma and big companies have taken over, chemical companies have taken over everything. And this article talks about why U.S. chicken is banned in 80 countries. So other countries won't even import our chicken because of what we do. It's literally unable to be exported to the European Union, to the European Union and other countries due to the controversial practices that we wash our chicken in chlorine. Like, are you fucking kidding me? We wash the chicken in chlorine. And like over in Europe, animal welfare is a big deal. It's a big thing over there. Like they make sure they take care of their animals and all that stuff. And they have like better standards, like in terms of the space, like how much space each bird gets. Where here in America, those chicken farms, they just shove them shits, they feed them, and they're all in cages and shitting on each other and all that stuff. And then it's like disgusting, right? So it says right here in this article I was reading, it says that 97% of all U.S. chicken is rinsed in chlorine, and that statistic includes certified organic chicken. Like, it does not make any sense to me that we're doing this, but it also makes sense to me because, like, you become antibiotic.
It makes total sense to me.
You become antibiotic resistant, like when you are like get chlorine on you, and you know what I mean. It's just rinses the odor off of it and all that other stuff, so it passes as clean, but it still counts like it's still getting washed in chlorine, and it's only like to bypass that initial test before they send it to the store, right? And like that's disgusting. It's the same thing for me with eggs. We have our own eggs because we have our own laying hens, but before we got chickens a couple years ago, like, holy shit, I used to just eat store-bought eggs. I'm like, there's store-bought eggs. And one of my friends was like, dude, you eat store-bought eggs like that? That's disgusting. I was like, dude, you're nuts. There's nothing wrong with them. And then you do the research. And you're like, dude, these chickens don't ever even leave their fucking pen. They never leave their run. Their little air, not a run. They're individual cages. All these laying hens literally all live in their cages and lay an egg. They eat in there. They shit in there. They do all that in there. And they just lay an egg and they just reproduce. It is, I mean, it's getting to the point that we really, really, really need to take a hard look in the mirror. Like you said, you started label reading more and know where our food is coming from, because it's like slowly killing us without us even knowing. Because we're just so oblivious to the fact that we think everything is hunky dory with our food and where it's coming from. And it's like, it couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth, whether it's the shit they spray on fucking produce or they're washing chicken breast, or if you've ever driven past one of those meat lots, those feed lots out in Oklahoma and North Texas, like you wouldn't probably never eat a steak again. And I'm very much pro meat. I'm a pro advocate of steak and chicken and all those things. But I mean, it is just, it is scary, scary, scary.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much to find the information about it. It's just laziness. I mean, it's laziness on all our parts. It's so much easier to just go to the grocery store and assume, like we do with everything else, that the government, the companies have our best interest in mind. They don't. It's profit. That's what their concern is. It always has been. It always will be. So when we think that we just got to take somebody at their word for it, take this company at their word for it, we're making a big mistake. So we got to do our own research, dig into it, find out what are the alternatives to that. And I love that you are raising chickens and you get your eggs, and now you're talking about raising chickens for meat and that sort of thing. I've been exploring different farms here to try and find one that I can get half a cow from, that I can get some chicken from, even some pork that I know where it's coming from, a local place. And we've been doing that a lot more just in general. I'll just swing by a farm and pick up some meat because I could see the animals where they are, and know how they're taken care of and how they're being raised, and that's very different. I mean, there's one place in North Texas, I forget exactly where it is. I've driven by it probably 4 or 5 times, and the cows are just jammed in there, so close, and it smells so bad. And you realize that they're just raising these things to slaughter them as fast as they can, bulk them up, get them out the door. And it really does make you think about, what is possibly in the meat or in the bodies of these animals that they're slaughtering and then we're serving to our families.
Well, the thing that I don't get is how hypocritical people are in general, because we live in this is the laziest the world's ever been before, right? And people Netflix, binge watch Netflix and Amazon Prime, and all these documentaries are right at people's fingertips, right? And you can watch them. But here's the thing: people will watch them and be like, "Oh my God, what's in my food?" But guess what? Then they go right to McDonald's and get food. They go because it's convenience, right? Because really, deep down inside, you're not gonna change your habitual lazy ways, but you're gonna see the documentary, tell people about it, but then not do anything about it to improve your situation. But because people are inherently lazy right now, and that's the one thing that makes me the most angry. But there's no coincidences here, people. Like, this is not some conspiracy theory. Look at pictures of people in the 50s and 60s and 70s before big pharma and big companies took over our food industry, and then look at people now. The obesity, we've done episodes on obesity. Obesity is an all-time high. People are fat, they're lazy, they're overweight. And it's not because they have some genetic, I'm an overweight person. No, it's not. That's not the case. Okay? It's because people are lazy and convenience, and they don't have to do anything, and everybody's entitled. And there's nothing that pisses me off more than lazy people. Dave, you know that? It's my number one pet peeve in this world.
Yeah.
Besides people's dogs that don't listen, is lazy people. Okay? And the thing that pissed me off the most that I recently saw was CNBC put out an article the other day, and this is just really just chaps my ass. They put out an article the other day about obesity medications and how they're going to make $100 billion on obesity medications moving forward, because it's such a booming pharmaceutical industry. Ozempic and all these other big pharma companies. Oh my God, look, you don't have to be a fat ass anymore. Here's the pill. Here's the magic drug. Here's your pill. Eat this pill and you'll be skinny. Well, first of all, that's not medicine. Medicine is meant to heal. Go to any ancient time, civilization, the Indians. Yeah. Medicine heals you when you are sick. So obesity medication is not medicine because it doesn't heal you. You are a fat ass because you're lazy, not because you got some fucking sickness and you became a fat ass. No, you are lazy. So it's not medicine, okay? Because medicine's meant to heal. It is a Ponzi scheme to keep you sick, keep you fat, keep you unhealthy. Because look, Big Pharma is not your rescue plan. They don't really care about you. They just want your money. They want you hooked onto this pill because guess what? When the side effects come out for this pill, which no one knows now, then they're going to just sell you the next pill. That's all they're going to do. So once this fad goes away, and people get whatever the hell, bloody cough, fevers, rashes, you name all the side effects that they give you, they're going to give you the next one to get you off of this one. And they're going to say, see, you solved this problem, but now you have this problem, because it's just a revolving door of them making more money and just playing you the fool.
Yeah, and you said it. Until you find out what's actually going on with the drugs, you're really not going to know what's going to happen. A study just came out about Ozempic. You mentioned that. It said nearly 5 in every 1,000 users developed pancreatitis,
Oh, there you go.
um, which is astonishing. It's causing severe abdominal pain in people. 5 out of every 1,000. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a big number.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Just because you're looking for a quick fix on losing some weight. It's
you know what doesn't give you
we need
pancreatitis?
to do a better job at working out.
You know what doesn't give you pancreatitis? Movement and water.
Working out.
And eating healthy and working
Yeah,
out.
there you go.
That doesn't give you pancreatitis, and it gives you all the benefits of Ozempic, except you're doing it the right way. You know, I'm not gonna say it.
Right.
I'm not gonna say this out loud on the podcast. I'm gonna just leave it a blank because you're gonna know what I'm implying, because I don't want our show to get taken off the air. But it's the same instance of something else that they just had everybody do, and now we're seeing what the side effects are. When something's not tested and you don't know what the side effects are, and everybody does it, right? And now we're seeing all the consequences. We're seeing all the consequences of it. Like you just mentioned, Ozempic. Now we're starting to see 5 in every 1,000 people get pancreatitis from it. So what did they do? But here's the funny thing. This is the fucked up thing that no one understands. Ozempic's going to start to get downgraded a little bit because people are going to start realizing their side effects. But what do they do? Other pharmaceutical companies just come out with the same fucking thing. They name it something else, and people go and flock right to it.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, well, this one must be better. They wouldn't do that to us again, would they? No, they're not going to do that. So this one must be good.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the same shit happens. But it goes back to people just being lazy and wanting the easy way out of everything. That's what we do. Everything is convenience. Every single thing we do is convenience. Nobody wants to put in the work. Nobody wants to take the hard steps to make a difference in their life. Just like people going and getting gastric bypass surgery to lose a bunch of weight, but you haven't solved the problem. You haven't solved the problem that you had, which was overeating. So you go get the surgery, and then you're screwed at that point. If you gain the weight back, you have no options whatsoever, and it's terrible for you. Because if you get to that point where you gain the weight back, it's
because you know what the surgery doesn't do? It doesn't fix your mentality. It doesn't change your habits for you.
No.
It just cuts the fat out. It doesn't do anything else for you.
Right.
It's a physical.
No, it doesn't get at the root of the problem.
It's a physical appearance change. That's all it is. It doesn't do anything where everything gets fixed up here between your ears. Everything that happens here leads to everything out here, right? And when are people going to wake up? Probably never, because this is the entitlement society, lazy convenience society we live in, right? But like go outside and move. You eat better. You sleep better. And you know what leads to better sleep than a pill? Exercise. I know it's wild to think about. If you move more and you do physical things, your body's going to be tired, and the return of that tiredness, your body's going to crave good rest and good sleep, and you don't need a pill for that. The people that say I can't sleep. Well, there's a lot of reasons why people can't sleep, because they're unhealthy. Oh, then the other one I get, stress. I'm stressed. Well, then quit your job if you hate your job. Get your fucking money in order if you're stressed over finances. There's ways to do it naturally where you don't have to just go, let me do that. Well, from a finance standpoint, let me get a debt consolidation loan and roll this debt into this debt. And then they roll this debt into this debt and this debt into this debt, right? Or let me take a pill that's going to make me lose weight. Or let me take a pill that's going to help me sleep. Or let me take a pill that's going to calm me down from my daily stress, my rigors. Antidepressant pill. You know, there's a pandemic that no one talks about in this world, and it's a mental health pandemic. That's the fucking problem. All right. God rest the soul of all those that just lost their lives last week. There was another shooter, but it was a mental health patient, from everything that we know, which can take everything with a grain of salt, what you read on the news. But it was a mental health patient, from everything that they said, that did it. You know, there's no coincidence in this world when they started shutting down. I mean, today's Halloween, so let's just call them insane asylums, but mental health hospitals, whatever you want to call them, right? It's not a coincidence, right? What do they do nowadays when someone has a mental, they don't get them help, they give them a pill. Isn't it funny how it all ties back into big pharma? Nobody gets the actual help, they get pills. And what happens when you get on pills? It changes you biologically, right? And chemically inside your body. And what happens when you get off those pills? People fucking snap. because they become so reliant on a medication to solve their problems that once they're off of it, their body has been reconfigured and chemically imbalanced to offset the medication they're giving you, that when you get off it, you snap. And I'm not saying that's the reason behind this. Like I said, I don't get into the news. I just read the news, and I like I said, take the news with a grain of salt. But from what I read, this was who it was or what it was. And I remember going as a kid, going down to the shoreline and being like, remember when we were kids? We were fucking creeped out by psych wards, right? And insane asylums. Like, they were like the creepiest fucking thing in the world. Like, ooh, look at that place. It's fucking creepy. But they went and shut them all down.
They did. And the problems we've had since they've done that, I think there's a correlation there. I don't believe in coincidences. So I think there's a tie in there. And I think it's something that should be brought back. Insane asylums, if handled the right way, I think are beneficial.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, there's crazy fucking people out there. Just like the person that just went shot up Maine, right? There's crazy people out there, and chances are, if this person was locked up in an insane asylum, that wouldn't have happened. Everybody wants to blame guns all the time. Guns are the problem. Guns. It's not guns. It's people. And a lot of these people have mental problems, and like I said, it all ties back to big pharma.
Yeah.
So many of these different things. Did you see that? The medication? Speaking of, I know I'm going off from where we were, but did you see that now the drug to help patients that get COVID skyrocketed in price?
No, I did not see that.
Yeah. The drug that actually works to bring down your bring down the effects of COVID, they jacked the price up on. So,
not surprised.
Unbelievable.
And I was, not what I'm saying. Like, what I'm not saying is, like, and bring back, like you said, if you're going to open up insane asylums again, then you got to do it the right way. I'm not saying we should be doing lobotomies and drilling holes in people's heads. Like, that's not what we need. We're past that. We're past that point. But the therapies that are out there, the getting out all the natural remedies that are out there that we just have completely just thrown to the breeze for big pharma's money to just create another chemical in a lab to put in your body to, quote unquote, heal you, right? Which that shit doesn't heal you. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's like I said, this tree kind of, like I said at the beginning, this is going to grow limbs, and we can go down different directions of what you're eating, where your food's coming from, mental health, exercise, sleep, this pill, that pill. You know what I mean? But it all ties back to big pharma and to things like that. You know what I mean? And to pull on the thread of like I said, the unfortunate shooting that just happened in Maine, which we kind of started that conversation with the mental health aspect. I want to pull on that thread for a second in the sense of, and you'll agree with me on this, like, you need to have your head on a swivel in today's day and age. Like, I know we talk about Prepared, the book by Glover. We've talked about it multiple times, and we can't reiterate it enough that you need to have your head on a swivel. You need to know your surroundings and what the hell is going on around you at all times, because no one knew this was going to happen at a bowling alley and at a bar in Maine, right? In some little rinky-dink town in Maine. Like, evil has to be met with force. It's the only way to stop it. Chad Wright says it all the time on the 3 to 7 podcast. The only way to defeat evil is with force. You need to be prepared. We are way past the life is fucking hunky-dory and everything is roses and tulips and gold rings. That's not life right now. That is not the world that we live in. So you need to have your head on the swivel in the sense of, one of the very simple things you can do is become situationally aware. A little bit better than what most people aren't situationally aware at all. But become situationally aware. Know your surroundings. In every room that you step in every restaurant that you go to, in every building that you walk in, just know where you are. And just know, you know what I mean? Those things take 30, 40 seconds when you walk into a door or whatever you're doing. But just in general, becoming situation aware. Do you know your neighbors, right? Do you know your neighbors well? If you live in a neighborhood, we have action plans in our house. Do your kids know how to open your windows if there was ever a fire? God forbid, an intruder or something like that. So just having your head on a swivel and being alert and being aware is so important. And this example, it's a terrible, tragic example of what's going on. Because from all the photos, dude, this dude didn't roll up like in a trench coat with dude, this dude came in fully armed, on point. Like, you know what I mean? He came in from those photos, gun up, finger on the trigger, barrel up. You know what I mean? So knowing what's around you at all times. Hey, what could be used as a shelter? What could be used to shield me? Which way can I get out of a building? Like, those are little things that you have to rewire your brain to think like, you have to rewire your brain to think like that.
Yeah.
But you have to.
Yeah. Situational awareness is so vital. I mean, how many times do you walk through the neighborhood and notice something that's maybe out of place? Or for those of you that go into an office building every day, when you go to the office, what looks different in the parking lot? Who parks in the same places? What do the entrances look like? What looks out of place is different. I notice things all the time, and I think that that's very important. And one of the things that I heard on John Deloney's podcast not too long ago, he was talking about how he and his family have a 911 situation where him and his son go out to breakfast. I think he said Waffle House or something once a month. Like, that's their thing. They go to Waffle House. And in their family, they say if this is a 911 moment, at that point, everybody just stops doing what they're doing. No questions are asked. Get up and go to the nearest exit. And he said it happened. He said so he saw someone come in that looked like they were strung out on some drugs and just said to his kid, hey, this is a 911 moment. That door right over there, I need you to get out of it right now. And that's what they did. They got up and they left. I mean, how many times do you try and tell your kids something somewhere and they're, why, what? And they're so loud. Everybody can hear them. The person that you're talking about can hear them. So I think that was a very interesting takeaway and something that I've implemented with our kids. Like, sometimes it's okay if you ask questions, but if I tell you it's a 911 situation, I just need you to shut your mouth, listen to the instructions, and go. And we will talk about it afterwards. We'll talk about it so they understand what the situation was. But in that moment, I need you to be focused, I need you to listen, and I just need you to do these things.
Yeah. And you're 100% right. It's whether it's a code word or it's a 911 moment, whatever you say, you definitely have to have that. You definitely have to have that connection. And that's why I always say to people, it's good to know your neighbors, so you know what happens or where you can go if something does happen. Because, do you have a go bag at your house, right? Do you have 3 days worth of supplies to know that you're going to be able to be fine if the power went out or you lost cell phone service? Because all it takes is the internet going down and the world breaks. By the way, that's just a completely different episode in itself. If the internet goes down for 1 day, the world breaks. Because we've become so reliant on technology, it takes 1 day of the internet being down for just complete fucking chaos in the world. Money, you name it, everything runs off of the internet nowadays. But do you have a plan if something happens and the power goes out? Do you have a 72-hour go bag or 1 week go bag in your garage where if something happens and you have to go, you can just grab this. It's already stocked, ready to go, and you go. That is not being a crazy doomsday prepper. That's just being someone prepared, because this situation doesn't have to be the world ending or a zombie apocalypse, which I hate using that reference, but that's what everyone says. It could be as simple as, dude, there's a fucking natural disaster that comes through and wipes everything clean. Do you have something to survive for however long? You know what I mean? That's what it is.
I mean, dude, I live in a place where there's tornadoes. Like, I should have that such stuff anyway. Not even some of the stuff we're talking about as like possible things that happen in the future, but just for everyday situations. If a tornado comes and hits my area, I gotta have stuff available because it could knock out everything.
Yep.
And in your case, like, water for you is so vital. You live in a place where water is very, very limited.
Yep.
You can't just get water. Like, at some point, they could just say, you know what? We're shutting off the water supply. Tucson's not getting any more water. Then what?
Yeah.
So it's important to be prepared. It's not being a doomsday prepper. It's just being prepared. Being prepared to take care of your family.
And listen, there's plenty of doomsday preppers out there, and kudos to them. That's not what I ever want to be. There's plenty of them out there that are sitting around waiting for the world to end, and that's not the way to live life. But being a little bit prepared is not a bad thing. It's actually a really good. It's actually a really good thing. But, anyways, so today's episode, we've touched on a lot of things. Listen, if there's any big takeaways Pay attention to what you're eating. Know where your food's coming from. Read some labels. Take care of yourself. Stop looking for the easy out. Stop looking for the next pill, the next drug, right? Read some freaking books, all right? Stop doom scrolling the internet, right? Do those things, and you can turn a lot of things around just by, I had a great conversation with someone this morning, and I said the word work. If you want to become healthier, if you're overweight, if you want to become better physically fit, you need to work, right? There's no secret sauce. If you want to become better financially, Dave, what do you have to do? You have to fucking work. You're not just going to get another loan to cover another loan to cover another loan. It doesn't work that way. You have to do the work. You have to go get a job, and you have to say, I'm going to buckle down. I loved listening to Ramsey the other day, and the people that I grew up with paid off 100. And this is just tells you how crazy this is. And this is going off topic a little bit. But if you want to fix your financial situation, you got to work. They paid off $117,000 in debt in 27 months. That is 2 years and 3 months, right? 117,000. Don't tell me it can't be done. You know what they did? They worked overtime. They picked up extra shifts, and they got it. And they got a side hustle.
What was the range of income? Do you remember?
I think they made 110 to 150 for two people. That's combined.
Two working adults.
Yeah. And that's
pretty good.
That's insane. But like I said, that's a side note. So physical fitness, you need to work at it. Financial fitness, you need to work at it. You want better relationships with your spouse, your partner, your whatever. You need to work at it. You want to get closer to God, you got to work at it, right? That's what it comes down to. Doing the work and doing and reading and learning and gaining knowledge. That's how you get better at everything. So that's the moral, those are the big points that I wanted to hit on today. Anything you want to touch on before I get to the book recommendation?
We say it all the time. It all starts with you. You are the one. You are the one who can change your life and the life of your family. It all starts with you.
Yeah. And so anyway, today, with the whole diet, knowing where your food is, this book right here, I grabbed a cookbook actually, kind of like it's called The Whole30. And listen, dude, read books that you like to read, eat good food. It's pretty simple. You don't need a book to tell you how to cook, to eat simple, to eat clean. But if you need a book, this Whole30 gives you like tons of good recipes, gives you a lot of good stuff in there. It goes through a bunch of different things about sugar and whole foods versus non-whole foods. And then it gives you some really cool like recipes like halibut with citrus ginger glaze. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It looks pretty cool to me. So that's just a book. There's tons of good cookbooks out there. If you don't know how to cook, listen, some people aren't great in the kitchen, and I get it. But eating, the most important part about that book, whole food. If you read a label and it's got 18 things in it and half of them you can't, it's an old rule of thumb. If you can't read the label, don't eat it. It means it's not good for you.
Yeah. That's so true. Oh yeah. Man.
So that's all I got. That's all I got today. Episode 85. Have a happy Halloween. Be safe out there tonight. If you're listening today as this releases, have a good time. Hey, I got a great idea. This is a great one. If you're listening to this episode on Halloween morning today, before you go trick-or-treating, take the pictures of your kids before you go trick-or-treating and then leave your phone at home or in the car and go enjoy the moment of trick-or-treating. Enjoy watching them walk up to the door and say, Happy Halloween, trick-or-treat. Or, instead of them walking up to the door and you staring at your phone like this, leave your phone in your car, leave your phone at home, and go be in the moment. That's my trick-or-treating tip tonight.
I love that advice. I do. I'm going to enjoy trick-or-treating tonight. Don't forget, like you said, be safe. Watch out for cars. People are crazy. Check the candy. When you get home, check the candy. Make sure the kids are safe with that. And enjoy it. Have fun. Halloween's one of my favorite holidays. I absolutely love seeing the kids dress up, seeing all the different kids that are out there. So I'm going to be having fun tonight. I hope you're having fun tonight. We'll see you next week. And just remember, it all starts with you.